back to the Forge of Champions here. We are just about ready to get set up with Game 2 of tonight's quarterfinal match between Wind and Rain and Diabolus. Diabolus, after about a 45-minute affair, are able to close out that game with a very fed Irelia kind of storming through team fights, and then eventually that Ashe getting online for M-Test. Lots of signs of hope, especially for a team that's kind of had a bit of a drought since the first qualifying tournament. They've made it through to the semifinals once since then, and they haven't, really had the same success that was kind of really hyped up at the beginning of the season. If this is, the kind of redemption story for Diabolus, and this is a great start in their playoff, series.
I just wonder if it's enough going forward as well. I think we'll see coming into Game 2 if Wind and Rain are able to respond even in draft. But it just felt like Diabolus won off the same conditions they always won off. They get some solo carry potential, they start going for dives, they use that to force more, and then the mid game they didn't seem to know what to do with that lead. They lost it, they were kind of going even in team fights, and then as they went forward they had the option for a split push, didn't use it, and it stalled the game out for an insanely long time.
You see what Blumeligan was able to put in place with the draft there was...
That's true.
Just the 4 members able to do pretty much nothing, and they can afford to do nothing as long as they are safe and they have enough disengage, which they did with the Lulu and of course the Tom Kench as well, to then allow a waiting point in the game until Flaxish is able to just go in and then set up a team fight where M-Test can do all the damage. And that's what we saw from just the damage graph, how much damage M-Test was able to do on the follow-up to Flaxish. Even if Flaxish dies, he's already shredded the front line by that point.
It worked. Definitely worked for Diabolus.
Yeah.
The only, the point is more of a looking forward towards the semifinals.
Yeah. Even into Game 2, I'd be looking forward.
Yeah, well, definitely into Game 2. It's just the fact that, when you talk about the top 3 teams in the UK, Misfits Academy, Enclave, and Excel, with a draft like that, that game potentially could have been over 15, 20 minutes earlier due to the way they kind of utilize every strength they have in draft. Fantastic draft from Diabolus. I want to see another Wumpa here as we kind of...
Wumper?
A Wumpa, yeah.
Okay, fair
Isn't
enough.
that the fruit from Crash Bandicoot?
That's Wumpa? Wumpa fruit?
Wumpa fruit, yeah.
Wow! Wind and Rain.
Good. Yeah.
Let's see how they respond, because it was the same kind of style. We're having a bit of troubles with the draft. We'll get it.
See, this is how you literally see the Matrix during a draft. As you see, yeah, it's...
Hey.
There it is.
Yeah, we see, again, it's the ban that's been dropped, though, is the Camille. So Kerberos has the ability to pick that up for himself, and we talked about counter-pick top lane being available. So Kerberos having Camille in a counter-pick top lane could potentially be the situation that Wind and Rain wants, where he's in a more comfortable matchup.
Or they don't.
Or they just first pick it.
Yep.
Because that was, yeah.
NG can also play this Camille as well, so it's not necessarily locked into the top lane either. So it's not like Wind and Rain could safely pick a top lane here knowing what they're going up against.
I think it's fair to have that as a flexible pick. We have seen, yeah, as we said, Kerberos has been using that a lot in the top lane. It's been banned away from him quite often. So Flaxish could be taking this, NG could be taking this, but most importantly, it's a denial.
Big denial as well for Kerberos, who definitely known for his split-pushing presence in the UK. At this point, though, we do get that Kai'Sa immediately return from Wind and Rain, and essentially saying if we're going to go into the late game, we want to have the premier late team fighting comp.
I will also say that one of the biggest issues Wind and Rain had towards the later stages of that game where they were catching out the front line, they just weren't able to kill the front line.
Yep.
So Kai'Sa deals with that quite effectively, and okay, here's something else that's really good for catching out.
So, yeah, as you say, last game we just saw LeBlanc not able to capitalize on anybody because of the Tom Kench being so effective. We saw the Varus not really able to do the damage because he was under so much threat from Flaxish, so there was no damage in the fights. Consistently, the only way you get a kill is by Cho'Gath just grinding somebody down and then being able to ult them. That happened a few times, but that's not enough to win you team fights.
One thing that is kind of really important here is that when Wind and Rain were doing really well in the Forge of Champions earlier on, it was off the back of an ulti. Skarner has had a huge impact already in the first game due to his ability to find those picks. Now you have one of the more simpler ways of, getting that win condition of a pick, and not only that, you also force to the respect, whether it be a cleanse or a QSS. We do see that Galio looked in by Balulu.
You have to ban Tom Kench now.
Yeah, I
almost
think so.
certainly you have to ban Tom Kench to deny them the safety.
On the
Unless
other side,
you take it yourself.
Diabolus have the easy time. If they just ban Poppy, Camille has mostly good matchups after that. that Kerberos might want to pick up. The only other Kerberos champions I can think of are maybe something like the Darius that has been picked into Camille historically, but I think Flaxish probably comfortable to play that matchup.
What's surprising is we're at the second round of picks here. Mid lane is locked in, and Akali is just nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
I mean, Crossman is known for his assassin picks. Is this just a champion he doesn't feel comfortable with?
So it seems like they want to pick the Tahm Kench here, considering they've just banned away 2 ADCs, trying to make it a bit less comfortable for M-Test, taking away those on-hit AD carries that can just be so safe when you provide them those extra stats. He's going to have to fall back to one of the lesser ADCs, you'd say. Maybe the Xayah you can see come out. It still is both Xayah and Rakan available.
Xayah Rakan is something that Diabolus have used fantastically.
Something Anthrax has been very good on the past
absolutely.
as well.
His engage ability.
Supports.
Ooh, okay, maybe we go somewhere else. We're going to pick up that Vladimir first and leave the support pick to last.
So this you have to assume is Vladimir top lane into Camille unless you see some shenanigans. So just really what you're able to do there is when Camille wants to dive you, you can go into your pool and deny her the ability to lock you down as easily. It's harder for her to commit onto tower dives on you, where she's normally able to so effectively, and you deny the counter pick. But this is interesting. But this is another hard engaged support. But this is really away from what we've been talking about in terms of Akatsune's champion pool.
No, it's actually his third pick.
In terms of what we're saying is he plays those high damage bot laners. So he's going into this more aggressive style where you want to be going in, being a tank, being a frontliner, not in the high damage that we've been seeing from more common.
It's interesting that when his Zillion and Vel'Koz's banned away, this is the one he goes to, because as you said, it is a very different playstyle, but he has done quite well in the past
deeper into the bag of tricks.
And one thing I'm looking at on the other side is it's very hard for Wind and Rain to get that hard engage off against Diabolus' draft. You have a lot of tanky members, and you have Xayah who can dodge out, Camille as well, who either be on the split push, you would hope, or is has the mobility to escape something like Skarner. So Wind and Rain, while they've picked a lot of comfort here, I wonder if it's enough to counter Diabolus' draft. Of course, that's assuming, again, if Diabolus played their draft. Yeah, no, that's true. I think Diabolus, once more, it's a really strong draft coming through for them. You can see the effect that Bloomigan has had already in this roster, really kind of shoring up some of the weaknesses that their game plan has had just through draft alone. Wind and Rain, like you mentioned, they have the ability to find picks, but how do they find the picks onto a roster like this that has huge frontline, huge pick ability, and not only that, huge escape? One thing I would like to note as well is it's not only Bloomigan, I think it's Balulu's willingness to play utility champions has opened it up to... It really helps Diabolus' style of, look, we want to solo carry. He goes from the mid lane. That's cool. You guys have it. I'll just make sure you guys stay alive and you can do so. See, Vladimir, however strong he may be, doesn't really just win in a side lane consistently against the Camille. Camille will be able to win out those 1v1s. It's just forcing Vladimir back, forcing Vladimir to use his pool and run away, where she's just going to be able to free hit tower. So he needs to be forcing in team fights to happen, and having a hard engage pick like Nautilus with the secure ability to just go, I'm ulting this target, they will be knocked up. It makes it a lot easier to find an all-in, but there's still really the ability to kite back. You've got the Galio ultimate to deny picks. You've got the Xayah ult to deny herself being bursted. There's a lot of safety here for Diabolus. I'm really looking forward to seeing this Rakan hard carry. Yeah, safety in a hard carry. Not only that, when we talk about carries, this Xayah Rakan has been kind of the flashiest component of the Diabolus roster for quite some time, and it really does come down to the way that Anthrax is able to play his Rakan. Potentially one of his best support picks, just due to the fact that he's so consistent with his engages, so consistent in the bot lane, especially pre-6, to be able to find those 2v2 picks, which allowed Diabolus to not have to pressure bot lane, put their resources back up towards top where they want Flaxish to be then getting those carry points. Yeah, I mean, the big question for me now is, look, Kerberos picked a brave pick top lane, knowing that you're going to be the focus, knowing that you're going to Camille as well. So it's definitely not a bad match with Camille. In fact, you can pool the hook shot and you can dodge a lot of what she does. But the issue is, as the game goes forward, there's still a lot of consistent damage Camille can do, counter some of your healing. Think about he should know this matchup, and he has to do well in it, knowing that he was going into this. Think about Balulu here. He's sitting on a Galio pick, a pick that scales so well with magic resistance. And he's up against LeBlanc, Vladimir, Kai'Sa, Nautilus, Skarner. Only one of those champions deals really much AD damage, and Kai'Sa does a lot of her damage as magic damage, a lot of her hit damage. You can stack a ton of magic resistance if you want as Galio, and be one of the strongest frontliners in the game.
because you're built with a magic damage shield innate. Your abilities scale with magic damage. You are with magic resistance rather. It puts him in a situation where you allow this to go late. He looks like even more of a threat.
I will say that, I mean, old Galio would have been better in this kind of comp.
Right.
Yeah, we could just
miss
heal
old
off
Galio, but now it is just the shielding and damage reduction that scales. But even then, you generally see the flat AP Galio, because the utility alone and the fact he has innate damage reduction is probably enough in this case.
It's just the fact that he can build anything.
The fact that everyone can build adaptive helm will be huge on a lot of people.
Where it just reduces all instances of magic damage, especially the on-hit from Kaisa.
Yeah,
you gotta
any repeatable magic damage will be hurt.
So it's definitely helpful to him, but I want to see him build like an Abyssal Mask later on, or even very early. He should be against the LeBlanc in lane, so you can understand why he'd build an Abyssal Mask in that situation as well.
And it's Merc Treads all around with more.
Exactly, so he's going to have a ton of magic resistance, and he can build a decent amount of AP without really feeling uncomfortable.
Really good start to the series for Diabolus. Matchup that I think out of all of the possible quarterfinals they would feel the most comfortable in, having beaten Wind and Rain so dominantly back in qualifying tournament 1. Let's talk about Wind and Rain here, about their feelings, because this is potentially their last chance to stay in the knockout stage. They lose this game, then unfortunately it is done for the Forge
Last
champions.
time we saw them, they lost the game to NSG as well, so
Yep.
A little bit inconsistent from the team, so we can perhaps chalk it up to that a bit, but at the same time, Diabolus, they've clearly got a much stronger game plan in terms of the draft than we've seen from them before, with the 4-man unit seems that much more solid and that much more safe, where Flaxish can carry, regardless of how the team is playing around that.
Yeah, and certainly I think, I have to go back to, I think Balulu has pretty much allowed them to do that, because I think they played it very wrong in game 1, and because they had the safety of a double support, it allowed them to stay alive.
With how easy it was for him to just go, oh, and then M-Test can stay alive for that much longer in a fight. There were around 6 or 7 times where M-Test would just be dead 100% if there was any other support there.
Certainly the Wild Growths as well, though, on the front line. I feel like it was weird because Lulu was protecting the front line more than the back line.
Yeah. Well, every time energy goes in.
It's using her more as a combo. Like, we've seen Lulu Camille be a big thing, for example, where Camille goes in and then you just get the knock-up, and it just allows her to set up a team fight that much more effectively.
One of the other sides, though, was you just saw Wind and Rain kind of collapsing to that. They didn't really have the solid map response. They started to at the start of the mid-game and then seemed to fall off. They didn't know how to... They weren't able to find consistent forces onto the front line.
The damage dealers couldn't do damage.
Yeah, it really felt like they were struggling with what Diabolus' front line were able to do, and every time they managed to catch someone out, it was someone who was either too tanky, they just used their stone plate and walked out, or it was someone they couldn't quickly kill, or Aurelia just turned around and killed them all.
Yeah, it came very much down to the traditional ADC problem when you get into this sort of meta where it's, okay, it's just my front line versus their front line. If my front line wins, then I get to carry. If their front line wins, I die. And it's just as simple as that.
Here we go. Game 2 of this series underway. Back onto the Rift, and Wind and Rain in a position where this is match point for the series. If Diabolus can find another victory in a row, then they're through to the quarterfinals. Semis even.
So going for the phase rush on Kerberos, he's fully buying into the fact that he wants to get into team fights. He doesn't care about going for lane safety. We've seen some Vladimirs go for... we've seen some Vladimirs go for in the top lane, for example. Kleptomancy, some of them go. We've seen some of them go for the... I've even seen one recently go Grasp of the Undying, which is a bit strange. But it's... generally, you just see something that gives him more safety in lane, and this is more aggressive, or...
I would still say it gives them some safety against the likes of Camille, who has so much sticking power. Might be better to have the move speed to run. Yeah.
Okay. I can understand that, but at the same time, I feel like it's much more viable as an in similar to the Predator, the way we see him use that quite a lot mid lane.
Yeah. Could see kind of either use, which is quite... I still think it's decent. I just, again, I'm questioning the Vladimir pick in the first place. It's actually the trade bot.
Yeah, nice little counter engage there from Akasuna. You can kind of see what he wants to do with this Nautilus is if Ampharex does dive onto the...
God, Guardian's so underrated as a rune. It's just... You saw that trade. That trade would have been perhaps even if they didn't have Guardian. Because he does, they end up trading up. He gets to use the Relic Shield as well. They're all both... he's on full HP. Fax is safe, of course, having Fleet Footwork as well. It just makes it that much easier to trade in the early game by just standing on top of your ADC and those
Aftershock that he's taken. The Nautilus.
The Aftershock, rather, sorry. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, the Aftershock is extremely strong.
Yeah.
I think it's nearly 100 armor now, more
Did I say
close?
Guardian?
Yeah.
I was thinking you get the bonus stats when you CC anybody, so it's that much easier to just bop them. You stay on full HP, and then you just Relic Shield to heal your ADC.
Yeah, Aftershock is fun to play against,
Yeah.
one might say.
This is, it's not Brom, who sometimes, of course, does take Guardian, but it's the Aftershock where you just got that CC on your auto attack. It makes it that much easier to consistently land.
Nautilus is, I think, the highest CC champion in the game.
Yep.
So
Yeah, yeah.
Aftershock is very easy for him.
But the one thing I'm worried about here, though, is his ultimate is just that point and click. Okay, it's very slow, but it's guaranteed to hit. It's not guaranteed to hit M-Test. M-Test can pop his ultimate and dodge it completely. And that makes it easier for M-Test to have much more aggressive positioning.
Ulti's here though, maybe Balulu in trouble. The stun comes out. Ignite ticking, flash forced as well. Does have that teleport to get back to lane quickly. But that is a nice little first gank coming through from Nolty, one that he can capitalize on later.
I really like the way that Balulu played it though. Before that, Eing on top of the place he wants to W back to, but it's now Kerberos.
Ah, the pull. You just expected at that point. The flash though, they're coming forward, they're slow. Kerberos, he might just be dead. Yeah, he is. Look at that first blood for Flaxish.
And that's exactly where you want the gold as well. On the split pusher, on the lane, you need the advantage. And Kerberos, he picked himself into this matchup. He had full knowledge that the Camille was going top lane. And he gets caught out still off of the lane gank. And well done by NG to get in there and get the lane advantage that he needed to get for Flaxish.
That's a really nice start for Diabolus, and one that I think is going to be troublesome for Wind and Rain. Unless Diabolus misplay, really difficult for Wind and Rain to find advantages this game.
So Kerberos has gone back. He's picked up that Seeker's Arm Guard for himself to give himself some armor to try and survive Flaxish's damage. But on the other side, Flaxish, he just goes for the Tiamat, and he's got that lane advantage where he can just push in Kerberos over and over again. And Kerberos has to farm under tower. He has to take those bad trades. And suddenly, it's going to be a lot longer before we see him able to come online.
Another engage coming out from Anthrax. This time it's Fax burning to the Ignite. Doesn't have a health pot to hit. Oh, he does. Okay, he's just not using it. Decides, yes, go back to lane, save the gold. All good.
So we see now that Crossman is just trying to get an advantage. This is generally a matchup where you want to be drafting the LeBlanc to dominate the laning phase, but Galio, he's so safe, and instead it ends up being almost a free scaling lane for him if you aren't able to punish and you aren't able to go aggressively enough. So Crossman, happy enough to just buy into that scaling himself and get to the point in the game where he can actually be a threat onto M-Test. And of course, M-Test, even if he does use that ultimate, it doesn't break the tether. He'll still get hit by the root from the ethereal chain, so he has to be careful. He can't miss position versus Crossman like he can versus Akitsune.
Yeah, no, and one thing that's really important now, I think, specifically for Nolty, is that he has to be finding some pressure across this map. With
Flaxish, Predator jungler again, so yeah, he needs to be utilizing that.
Yeah, and if he doesn't, then this is just Diabolus' lanes storming over Wind and Rain. Nolty, almost the key to Wind and Rain's success here. He's burnt the flash in the mid lane onto Balulu. That's a great start, but now he needs to kind of stop the bleeding that's happening in this top side somehow, as well as make sure that Fax is able to scale into a Kai'Sa late game threat.
And it's the Kai'Sa, yes, as you say, is a huge threat in the late game, one of the strongest at the moment in the current meta. So where we need to see Fax show up is where we've not really seen him show up so far, as the prime damage dealer in his team. He needs to be the key damage source, and he needs to capitalize on the opportunities that Crossman and Kerberos put forward for him. And this is more going back to the style he used to play when he used to spam out Tristana every game. But we haven't seen this from him in a while. He's been playing more of those, the Varus or the Misfortune, where he just sits at the back of a fight and tries to allow his frontline to do the work.
I mean, early game tournament, he played Lucian about 7 times in a row. Little bit of engage coming through.
Not seen it in
this
a while.
time they've turned around onto Anthrax, straight up Det Akazuni. Great counter.
And he gets that Mastery 4 flash.
Look at me.
Look at me. I've barely played Kai'Sa. First time Kai'Sa, by the way.
First time Kai'Sa, by the way. Wind and Rain Fax.
He gets the assist. The first ball does go into Akitsune anyway, but it's given them the lane advantage now where they can start to pressure ahead. She wants to build that Stormrazors plus Gwinsu's as the item spike, and when she hits level 9, that means you've got enough
Galio ult coming in
for the Q upgrade. But the Kerberos is in between three.
I mean, there's nothing you can say about Kerberos. He is
on
just
an island.
Absolutely dead. Wind and Rain looking to try and capitalize off the map pressure that Diabolus have put to the top side by taking down this Mountain Drake, and it will go their way. You have to say, it is classic Diabolus, making sure that Flaxish is in the winning lane, has the pressure over his opponent so that they can continue to use him as a win condition.
There's a lot of damage to that top lane tower as well, and Kerberos has to TP back, but It means that now they see Nulty on the bot side, though, they can pressure up towards this top side again in a moment's notice. It's not going to take too long for that top lane tower to go down unless we see Wind and Rain make a strong play towards the bot side. We need a good play down there, and Flaxis, she will have that TP up first, so he'll be there to try and counter it.
Yep. Infernal Drake will spawn 6 minutes time from now. We'll have to see which one of the two teams are able to secure it. Historically, it has been Nulty who's shown more Dragon presence than NG.
This triple TP is allowing them to keep the lane pressure that much easier. Although MTest didn't TP back to lane, the fact that he has the ability to TP, or even on the point where we'd see Fax and Akatsune try and go hard in for that tower trade, he can TP up to the top side and then just enable them to try and get that first tower of the game up there instead. And it's really having those globals is working out for them, and that's what they clearly drafted into. They knew that was the style. They knew they had to use the side lanes effectively, but we didn't really see that from them last game.
Pressure onto Kerberos means that this Rift Herald can be started up by Diabolus. Not really the threat of a engage, but they're going to respect Wind and Rain, not wanting to allow them any chances to make any plays.
Now, Flaxis, though, he wants to make the play again. He just keeps on getting good trade after good trade onto Kerberos, and you have to say again, Kerberos bought into this. He knew what he was getting into. He knew he was up against a champion that he's played a lot of. He should know the matchup, and it's exactly what Tig was saying, and you shouldn't be this far behind.
You shouldn't, no. This is too far behind, potentially. Like,
as far as keeping up in CS,
yeah,
though.
That's the main thing. Look at this, fights breaking out all across the board.
Forces the flash.
Forces the flash, forces the ultimate, but Balulu is here. Flaxis can just pretty much engage onto Kerberos at any second now. Has his ultimate up, the Hextake ultimatum.
But the stopwatch still available for Kerberos if he wants to go hard in on a dive.
Oh,
you gotta think about this.
Frax! There's the stopwatch, but it doesn't matter. Flaxis, she's going to say, you're mine, or maybe not.
Oh,
hold on.
Kill.
Frax, what the hell? Outplay comes through from Kerberos, or misplay, whichever way you put it. And Wind and Rain are taking turret across the other side of the map, looking for the first brick. That's going to be Flaxish forcing his flash. It's Crossman trading his for this as well. But ultimately, it's Wind and Rain net profit out of this play.
They could see that the stopwatch was going to be ready for Kerberos. They could see also that the moment that stopwatch runs out, he has the Crimson Rush available. Even though he's ignited, he still gets the heal off. And even though Anthrax, so close, look at how close it was when he gets that stopwatch. One hit from dead, one tick of the ignite from dead. But look at this, it ends up being the fact that the ignite causes the tower to take aggro onto Anthrax. The ignite doing damage, because no damage came out from Flaxish after that, and Nulty caught out though.
Yeah, we come out of the replay with the Rift Herald actually taken down before it charges into the tower, and that's going to be Nulty losing his life. It's a trade for a mid lane tower, one that Wind and Rain potentially happy with.
Yeah, the 1 for 0 and the mid lane tower stays alive. They get rid of the Rift Herald and they go have to position aggressively enough to deny it. So ends up being that little bit of loss for Wind and Rain. But look at them, they still sit up in a gold lead. They still got that first tower bot lane, and now they have the ability to reset and send the bot lane to top side once they get the reset. But they're on a slow reset, so it means MTest and Anthrax will have control of the lane.
It's definitely a bit of a rip from Diabolus, but you have to praise Wind and Rain's ability to play around the game that Diabolus are putting out here. Able to stop a Rift Herald from charging into your mid lane tower is always going to be pretty damn good. There's no other way to put it. That should just not happen.
It was a really early use of the Rift Herald, you have to say as well. It had only just gone down moments before, so forcing it a bit too hard ends up they get punished for it. They can't utilize it to get any sort of advantage. And so Flaxish is going on to Crossman now. It's on the other side of
Oh yeah, look at that. The Hex ultimatum, NG's here for insurance, but Crossman nowhere to go. Flaxish not able to secure the kill. Crossman with the kill secure there. Now it is going to be Fax looking for Balulu. I don't think Akatsune can get in range to help with that. Diabolus are making some really good map plays, regardless of the I guess, potential macro.
Kept Fax mid and then put Crossman in the bot lane, not buying into the lane swap, leaving Kerberos up against the bot lane on the other side. So they wanted to try and get some control mid lane. What are they doing with it, though? They're not really getting any control mid lane, and they lose the bot lane tower because they went for this play.
Oh, here it is. It's going to be an attempt on a gank for Balulu. Here comes the rest of the team. Anthrax, though, with a re-engage. Fax, well, he's in the wrong place in town. Akatsune goes down. It's a double for NG, and Diabolus are reading Wind and Rain.
They lost priority bot lane. They could see that the bot lane was roaming down from top side. Why did they go in on that play? That was far too aggressive. They get nothing out of it. Even if they get the kill, they have no minion wave to get the tower. So they're getting punished for their over-aggression, and they're seemingly desperate to make a play.
Flaxus is like, oh, there you are. Let me just hang on to this wall. I want you dead. And Frax gets flashbacks, decides not to dive the tower. That mid lane almost goes down. Diabolus are truly in the lead. Wind and Rain are struggling to kind of respond to the cross-map aggression that we're seeing from them finally.
You know, when Fax told me it would be an easy 0-2, I didn't expect this to be the way it was going. The other way, I guess he was not as confident as I thought.
That would be it. No, it is definitely Diabolus turning up here. Lots of question marks of whether they would be able to make it work. Looks like they are right now. Infernal Drake joins us on the rift here. A teleport being channeled to get that Vladimir into the area before a fight breaks out. Wind and Rain very hungry to secure this. They do have that Mountain Drake, worth noting. The extra damage to neutral objectives will be there.
MTE's way out of position. He has to walk all the way around because he TP'd onto that bot lane wave. He has no way into this fight right now.
That is true. I don't think Wind and Rain knew that.
The mid lane as well.
Yeah, he didn't know that, but they also didn't see anything happening. Let's see. MTE's still bot lane.
They could see him TPing on the wave. They should have been ready to go all in on this. They could see that MTES TP'd out of position. They'd have to walk all the way around the back of the Dragon Pit to get there. That was prime positioning for them to try and take a fight without the AD carry there and be in the 4v5.
Yeah, I don't know. Lots of things happening from both these two teams. They show up something great, then they show something a little bit poor. Does feel like whichever one gets their head out between their legs will be kind of storming towards a victory in this game. So far, Diabolus have the insurance of a gold lead.
And that is at least the fact that they've got a huge lead from the jungle and the top side means that the Sejuani's going to become that much tankier, that much earlier. And Flaxish, we said he's going to be a split pusher as the game goes on. He can exist in a side lane, and nobody can really stop him. We saw he's able to 1v1 Crossman fairly efficiently. And Kerberos is never going to really be able to hold a candle to him at any point.
Not at this point. Not really expected either in the Vladimir matchup. Is pretty much a losing matchup we've seen consistently against that Camille. Diabolus continuing to pressure cross map here. Flaxish in the bot side against Kerberos with a 2-level advantage over that Vladimir. Now, of course, the bot lane continuing to pressure Crossman and Nolty. Wind and Rain pretty happy with Fax and Akasuni kind of clearing that wave against Balulu. Then they can rotate them up towards the top side. There is so much vision in that river, which means they're not going to find a gank, but they do have the ability to rotate, I suppose.
You can see, though, it's Diabolus, they lost control of the bot side. They lost control of the vision, and the fact that they lost that meant they lose another dragon in the game. The early game dragon control from Nulty has been so consistent throughout this tournament, so they need to start denying the vision around that bot side, deny the vision around the river, and then they can start denying the ability to make picks happen so efficiently, because with a pick composition based around these members...
Kerberos gets engaged on, but Nolty's here, pops the Predators, he's rushing on in, flash over the wall to escape for now, but it's Fax, whether he is just not in a position that an AD carry should be. Easy pick comes through from Diabolus, now a man down. It is going to be Diabolus pushing finally to break open this mid lane.
And that's what buying the vision control gets you. You can see Fax stepping up a bit too far, a bit out of position without his support there. Ends up being picked off and dying, and now that gives him the mid lane tower and the ability to siege up on the tier 2.
Yep. Kakasuni currently just waiting on the sideline, pulls on in Balulu, not the main target. Flaxish says, hello, I'm going to eat you up, and that's going to be this Nautilus dead right here and now. Crossman can't quite find the kill, does escape, but Kerberos, he is left on the other side of the wall, flashes away at that point. Diabolus 8-2 with a 4,000 gold lead. It's been messy, but it is still their game.
And they're still taking these skirmishes and winning out in them. When you've got the Galio, like we said, it's that much easier to be able to capitalize on your opponents making mistakes because you can be all there at the same time, regardless of even having to TP up.
That moment when you realize you've messed up.
Yeah. And it means he loses his mid lane tower. It means that they end up losing Akatsune as well as he gets caught out in this brush. You can see that it's not even really the... it just ends up being that he tries to land the hook, he tries to turn it around for his team, he wants Kerberos to go all in, but there's no follow-up from anybody on his team. There's no ability to zone them off, and even though NG goes fairly low, he ends up getting out on the flash over the wall.
But Lulu's just been such a solid laner for Diabolus, has ensured them so many times in these team fights on these more utility-based laners. We've talked about it already, but it has to be said, his positioning there saves MTES from being pulled out of the team fight into an awkward position, and then his ability to re-engage and cross-map plays that he's made so far has been huge to Diabolus' success.
Even though Diabolus have been succeeding, you've got to say it's been really sloppy, and their ability to capitalize on War's mistakes hasn't been enough. They need to be able to capitalize that much more effectively. Like, they shouldn't be giving over these dragons early when they shouldn't be giving over the kills bot lane early. They need to be playing much safer and playing much more around Flaxish, because you've seen a couple ganks towards him, but they need to be setting up vision for him so he can split push more effectively. They need to allow him to just win out in the side lane and utilize the pressure he's got to draw members of Wind and Rain away from the 4-man unit, and then utilize that to set up an all-in.
Another turret gets taken. The Baron, as we see, coming on to the Rift here. Another objective for Diabolus to pressure around. We've also got that Drake spawning in a minute. Tells me it's an Infernal, but we won't talk about it just yet. They've caught out 2 Wind and Rain members in the jungle. It is going to be Akasuni attempting the escape, gets taunted back and should die in just a second, but maybe not. Nolty, he's in the middle of it all. He's trying to pull MTES to his death. Crossman can't quite capitalize. The stopwatch to stay alive for now. Taunts back in. Nolty trying to run. He does escape. Kerberos, he's on the back line. This is so messy, but it's working for Wind and Rain. Can Kerberos find the pick is the question. But Lulu, he sacrifices himself. Flaxish says, I want to go in. Crossman's almost dead, and he is indeed dead. A double kill. It's turning around. It's Fax finding kills. It's Flaxish in the midst of it all. Can he find any more is the question. Running for his life. He can't. And Fax will clean up the fight. Wind and Rain, a 4 for 2.
Completely against the run of play. Wind and Rain, they turn around a team fight off of what looked like so many members were going to go down. First of all, you see Akatsune caught out of position. Nolty barely escaping, but they turn it around. Crossman and Kerberos come up huge in that fight, do the damage, and then Fax with the cleanup with the killer instinct. So huge.
Here's the replay of this fight, and it was Akasuni and Crossman originally caught out, but they escape.
Crossman, he gets out on the bot side, but we thought, Akatsune, okay, yeah, this is an easy kill. They're going to kill him and back off, but they turn onto Nolty a bit too soon. You can see the key damage dealer hooked in, and even though Crossman, he's still so low, he's slowing them down enough. He's buying the time for Kerberos to get in and land as a one-man Hemoplague.
That could have been so good. It could have just been an instant ace off that moment. Oh, my goodness. But the turnaround does come through due to the fact that Diabolus, for whatever reason, with 2 members healthy, decide they can re-engage here. And it doesn't really go to plan. They get Crossman, they get Nolty.
With the Tiamat, and ends up going down to Nolty as well. Nolty goes down as well, but it keeps Flaxish out of position to the point where they get massive shutdown gold. And who do they get it on? They get it on Kerberos, the target that they need to be able to compete with him, or at least be a big team fight threat.
What surprises me is Wind and Rain with a Kaiser don't immediately turn to Baron with 4 members still alive, but okay, it's alright. Wind, it's going to be them looking for this Mountain Drake. It's going to be NG over the wall looking to try and steal it. Goes over still.
Close. 81 HP.
That was close. That was about as close as a dragon still gets, but here we go. Wind and Rain now looking to try and escape this alive, or maybe even re-engage onto Flax. NG on the other side of the pit will be able to escape.
But do you really want to fight Nolty there on one of his Spires when he has that bonus movement speed, the ability to lock people down that much easier? And the answer is no. They end up just backing out. That means that War, they get another dragon, the 3rd dragon, and again, the dragon control. This might not be so big in some games where they get massively behind, but in a game that goes even, or in a game that seems so close,
NG over the wall.
It has that ability to buy them pressure around the Elder Dragon if they get to that phase in the game. And as you say, NG potentially looking for a dive on Kerberos, but he smells something's up.
Yep, Akasuni's going to confirm the suspicion, but still threatens it. That tower potentially just goes straight down. Nothing that Wind and Rain can really do. Maybe they pull someone to a fight. Oh, nope, that's Kerberos dead. Nothing else to be said. Now the charm onto Nolty. He gets locked down. Fax, where is he? He's not even in it. MTES is just picking up all the kills. No, Fax picks up Rakan and escapes as well. NG, though, finds kills. Messy 2 for 1.
2 for 1, and the tower still a lead for Diabolus, you have to say. And We need the late game for Wind and Rain to really capitalize on this composition well enough, because they've got the Kai'Sa, they've got the Vladimir. Those are the two big late game team fight threats, and they're really hard to get rid of. Kai'Sa having the ability to kill her instinct and reposition herself in a fight. Akatsune with that free CC on so many members, because as we said, M-Test may be able to dodge it, but it's all the stuns along the way that will then buy them that much more pressure in those fights. And so Crossman, Nolty, and Akatsune, they just need to buy the time for these key damage dealers.
It feels potentially that Wind and Rain's ability to kind of dip and dive through these fights has kept them alive to this stage. Diabolus kind of have only hard engage for themselves. Once those tools get burnt, especially if Wind and Rain can find the re-engage with a key, you know, Hemoplague or whatever it may be, then the fights start turning their way. And it is only a 5,000 gold lead to talk about at this 24-minute mark. You can see that gold is lots in the top side. Some of it's in the mid lane as well. The Galio seemingly
but a lot
doing a little better.
Actually, the lion's share of it, the biggest advantage is in the jungle matchup. You see NG having around 2k gold more than Nolty at this point in the game. And so
that must just be towers.
Yeah, that comes off of the fact that he's 4-1 and 6. Yeah,
oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's got that stone plate completed. He's got the QSS. He knows that as the frontliner, he doesn't want to be just suppressed and then destroyed by Nolty.
NG though goes on in onto Nolty here. Here we go. It's going to be Fax trying to escape, but I don't think he can. Goes very low. Gets shut down by Flaxish. Can the rest of Wind and Rain do anything without their AD carry? Huge ultimate, and Crossman picks up the fight onto NG. The rest have to fall back. M-Test is doing some work. A 1-for-1 trade has to be said. At the end of the day, with the jungler going down for Diabolus, they can't really capitalize on a Baron.
And funnily enough, that shutdown gold going over to Crossman there, making him more relevant in this game. He's had to go for the Void Staff to help shred through these frontline members, but it's still finding a lot of damage when he positions correctly. And you see NG and it ends up being Fax just caught out by Flaxish's ultimate. Tries to get himself over the wall with a killer instinct, but Anthrax is there keeping the pressure on him, so he goes down. But all these low health members, again, you see every time they want to go in and get a fight, they get one kill, but they try to leave with all these low health members, and that's where you can see people like the LeBlanc, like the Vladimir, actually capitalize.
So far, Diabolus haven't been able to find the entry point that they want at the 26-minute mark. Wind and Rain have had the objective control over Drake so far. That Infernal just keeps them that little bit closer to even against Diabolus as well. And a pick composition that's only getting one kill at a time isn't really working out for Diabolus because of the fact that Wind and Rain have really good turnaround. Here we go. NG's the target, locked down for so long. They still have that Skarner ultimate to pull him back in just a second. NG is certainly dead.
Now with the jungler gone, and Kai'Sa only on half HP though, they can still look towards this dragon, they can still try Baron rather.
Kerberos is bot side, the teleport's coming through from him in towards that river at the mid lane. It is going to be this Baron going down very quickly. Wind and Rain, they need to turn this around, they need to hard commit. That's going to be Rakan getting pulled on into the pit. 1,800 health, someone's going to have to smite this Baron. M-Test has taken down Fax Nolty, not where he wants to be, dead, straight on up. Diabolus find a perfect fight here. They might lose M-Test on the back line, yes they will, but that Baron is certainly going Diabolus' way.
And it gets left so low. Nolty just sitting in the pit, has to dance back and forth. He can't do anything. He's waiting for his team to try and capitalize, but Crossman and Kerberos, they didn't capitalize at all. They get caught out position, and now Kerberos, he's going to go down as well.
Kerberos will lose his life here. Diabolus are able to turn it around.
Again, another Baron misplay. They try and force the fight at Baron, but they're not ready to disengage. They're not ready for the engage of the opposing team. They go, okay, so what you do at this point in the game is you force the enemy to engage on you at Baron. Oh wait, their engage is terrifying and they have a Galio ultimate. Let's try and position around that. And that last step is just entirely missing for Wind and Rain. They've not got the vision to capitalize on the engage. They've never got that turning point where they go, okay, we're going in on the Rakan, we're going in on the last member. So you see, Bolulu and Anthrax stepping up. There needs to be, okay, we go on them now. But it's far too late, and they end up getting caught out of position. You see this Galio ultimate positioned so perfectly to split up all the members. And now Fax, he's not able to do damage. Nolty and Kerberos are out of position, and that great two-man taunt.
And because they got split up, Nolty wasn't able to smite down the Baron despite the enemy jungler not being there. Diabolus then pick it up. They do lose M-Test, but a Baron picked up is about as good as it gets. Now pushing down that mid lane, I'm sure we'll get to live as soon as possible to see exactly what's been going on off camera.
They got that mid lane tower.
Drake going to be secured in just a second, it seems, by Diabolus. an Ocean Drake, so says the graphic, and it is indeed an Ocean Drake going over to Diabolus. Yes, they get that tier 2 mid lane tower. Now they are looking to try and get those side waves pushing on in. A TP available on Balulu. Flaxit and MTES have theirs down. Maybe they can still set up that 1-3-1.
So I'm not sure I like the adaptation here for Fax. He's gone for the Runan's Hurricane second, not building towards the Gwynsu's at all, because he acknowledges his team does a lot of magic. He wants to have some AD, wants to be more focused around his obviously his attack damage rather than his magic damage. But the Gwynsu still provides so much to you in terms of that your passive does missing health damage. The fact that your abilities all scale off of the fact that all 3 of those stats that item gives.
Ooh, okay, here we go. It is going to be this Camille pulled into the fight. Flax is so low. Fax is alive on the backline for now, happily. And that's just a really nice little play from War there. Stop the push once more, and this Baron's effectivity is becoming less and less.
It's really poor usages of Baron, you have to say, in both games. They've not been utilizing them greatly to get towers. It's always been, can Flaxish get something done on the side lane? No, I guess we don't get any towers. And so it's really only been where they can just capitalize on, look, Flaxish has set up this wave for us, let's rotate onto it, that they're actually able to do anything. The rest of the members, very poor at that.
Also worth noting that with that Drake take coming through from Diabolus, we just missed the cutoff mark for the Elder Drake as well. So another Mountain Dragon will be available, meaning that Elder Dragon's win condition just gets pushed even further into this game.
And of course, with those 3 dragons, Wind and Rain, I'm rather happy with that. And of course, when you see that the fact that they've got a Kai'Sa and a Vladimir, yeah, you're happy with the idea that late game is on the cards. So if this game does see, we do see another 45-minute one, you see that death cap now completed for Kerberos. He's looking a lot scarier than he was earlier in the game. You can see why they've gone for a Vladimir, even though it did lose the side lane, even though it does lose in those early lanes, in the early lane in the 1v1. It's what it provides for the team fights, and that's what they're buying into.
And this time, Kerberos has actually kept up in farm. Not quite the flame horizon of the previous game that Flaxit has been able to secure.
He's still 60 behind, it's just he's not 100 behind.
That is less than 100 plus, okay? That's keeping up in a losing matchup. Yep. Call me Michael Dapper, mate.
60 is indeed less than 100. Good job.
Thank you. A in maths, actually. GCSE. Really important, those GCSEs.
Yeah, definitely. Stay in school, kids.
So you can become a League of Legends pro.
It's now we're seeing the game has slowed down a lot though, because it's Wind and Rain. They have been sitting back. They've not been pushing up aggressively because this Baron buff has gone over. So normally when you see a Baron buff go over, there's a lot to talk about, because even though Wind and Rain, they would be just turtling in the base, Diabolus would be taking over the rest of the map and taking over vision and setting themselves up to take objectives, setting up the waves effectively. But they just kind of let the Baron run out without really doing anything with it after, other than that death ball up mid initially.
Wind and Rain happy to just sit in their jungle here, looking for one member of Diabolus.
For it. It's not really been denied by Diabolus well enough.
That top lane tower is going to be the target in just a second. Oh, here comes the Predator, charging on in, looking for MTES. Is able to escape with his ultimate for now. Can the re-engage come through? Fax gets deleted off the back end of that. Wind and Rain now have to fall back, but Nolty loses his life. Kerberos is about to lose his to Flaxish. If the tower dive is successful, this is going to be 3 kills across the map for Diabolus. The teleport coming through from Balulu. And now this mid lane is under fire. Crossman gets caught. Kerberos has to flash away. Flaxish wants to take this LeBlanc downtown. All in all, a 2 for nothing.
They're going to break the base. They're going to get an in here, but then they have to back off. There's low HP bars. It's only Balulu. And of course, NG still tanky. They need to get out of here as quickly as possible. They can't let Crossman get an assassination.
Yep, Crossman is threatening. The inhibitor will fall down. Diabolus break open the base, and Balulu very happy to escape here. Nice little pick coming through from Diabolus, and once more it's Wind and Rain being the aggressors, and Diabolus able just to turn it.
We talked about the amount of resources they put on Flaxish, but again, all of these fights seem to be not about him, but the amount of resources they've put on M-Test. Look at how the Galio ultimate has saved his life multiple times. Look at how well the Rakan is peeling for him. He's got so much safety to be able to do the damage in these fights. And Fax, he's kind of left high and dry on multiple occasions.
Yeah, absolutely. Fax has had a couple moments this game where he's the one being caught out. This time, though, was in the midst of a team fight where his team were the ones being the aggressors. 30 seconds until this Baron spawns. Diabolus weren't able to really have any effective use of it in the previous run due to an aggressive engage going wrong. This time, though, they have the control over the game. Just not that topside jungle where Wind and Rain's vision is prominent.
See, I start to look at this item build from Fax, and you can see that he's got the 60% crit. He's got a lot of AD damage, but he doesn't have that Gwyn season. What we talk about with it is the idea that you get all three abilities scaling as quickly as possible. You get the E passive, which gives you the invisibility. You get the Q passive, which gives you all those bonus rockets. And of course, you get the W passive, which gives it half of the cooldown, allows you to scout out that much more often. He doesn't have the W. He can't scout out. He doesn't have the ability to try and land those in fights as well to find a way into the enemy backline because it's on such a long cooldown. This
Baron is being started up whilst Flaxish once more continues splitting in the top side. Actually, this fight so far has forced Flaxish away, but maybe they're looking trying to collapse. Yeah, they are. Oh no,
again.
It's once against Fax. This time gets over the wall. Maybe to safety. Nolty going to be the target on in here. That's Nolty dead. The jungler down.
True damage.
Can they find anything more is the question. Fax is still not too safe. Gets that red buff. That will be all. Now Diabolus jungler down on Wind and Rain will return to the Baron pit and look to secure it.
It's that much easier now. Of course, no contest available for another 30 seconds.
They haven't started it up yet. There's still vision available. Diabolus with the Death Bush. Wind and Rain haven't charged into the pit just yet. Fax has to deal with the Baron up minion wave in the top side. That means that this Baron can get started. Here comes the rest of Wind and Rain down the river. Fax is going to be isolated from the rest of the team. Engage immediately straight on to Kerberos, who, yeah, gets the golden vision, but he will just go down in just a short second to M-Test. Kill comes forward.
Nice
Huge taunt. That's just two members caught up. They don't even have to charge it down because they can turn back towards that Baron. Wow, Balolu sometimes picks up the fight.
Time for Nolty.
Faxish. Nolty's charging forward, but Fax is picking up kills. I want to see it. It's a double kill for Fax. He's looking for more M-Test. Shuts him down. Triple kill M-Test. Baron to be started up, but they don't have a jungler because Nolty's coming through. Whoo, this game is incredible. It keeps on giving. And at the 36-minute mark, the Baron cannot be secured.
If you like the Nolty charging cam, you'll like the Fax teamfight cam even more, as we can see a triple kill from him. But he's trying to end the game.
He's trying to end it. Teleport's going to come through from M-Test as well. Nolty, the only man standing. 10 seconds left on Kerberos, and the ace comes through. Diabolus looking to make the end game play off a TP pin. That's going to be the Nexus losing its life. And that is the game for Diabolus. What a game indeed. A 2-0 incredibly to Diabolus, and they make their way through to the semi-finals.
And seemingly out of nowhere, we were just crediting Fax for how well he played that last team fight in terms of getting a triple kill and denying the Baron, but the double TP, it comes through. The fact that they've been running these 3 TPs all game allows them to TP into the enemy base. Camille, with all that true damage to Nolty, finds it easy to pick him off, and the damage to towers from the Triforce makes it that much easier to end the game that quickly, and before anybody else can respawn, they just end it.
Incredible stuff from Diabolus to end, and I think that game 2 ultimately is a step up from game 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, you know what? They played better.
Yep. Yep, they did.
Something.
No cynicism here. Come on, Celtic, you can do it. Praise them.
Yeah, no,
praise them.
Look, the draft was really good.
Yeah.
That's where I'd want to praise them, and I want to praise Balulu and there's a lot of solo play going on, but I still think Balulu specifically is someone I'd want to point out.
I didn't credit him enough in the last game. This game, he really showed that I should be crediting him more. Multiple man taunts.
Still,
the ultimates being so effective.
Yeah, and on the utility to stand out like that, it shows that he's really good.
Yeah.
You know, the compliments are starting to run a little low at this point because
look, didn't die.
Yeah, look, I think that's what I'm saying. It all comes down to the solo play, though, because strategically there were so many question marks. They were kind of like, why are they playing around this, like the pick style? They were at least getting off, but why weren't they, you know, trying to split the map up that little bit more?
Here's that team fight that we got the Skana cam in on live, and it was a pretty good engage from War because it started to go their way.
Yeah, but look at the CC combo on Kerberos here. Look at how low he is before he's even landed a single ability in this fight. And he ends up having to pull away, but it's just an easy kill for M-Test. He bops him on the nose with a flash auto.
I mean, part of this comes down to the draft and the solo play. I mean, between those two, they've been doing very well, but it's just the way they play around the map is strange at the best of times.
Yeah.
NG, Sulo, Fax able to clean that up. Flaxdish on the back
He's got no mana at this point as well, and he's ignited. It's just that much easier to clean him up, but you can see at the end of this, though, when Flaxdish and MTest realize, wait, they've got a jungler. oh, we should back away.
But yeah, immediately the pings come out on the map, and that was when the team realized you have a double TP available. You can just go into the base, lock him down with a Hextech.
Maybe they weren't even. Maybe they weren't even thinking about the Skarner taking Baron. They were just thinking, hey, let's just
we can actually win.
TP.
Yeah, absolutely, because the pings come out immediately.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the damage charts because it was all over the place, but it is clearly Flaxdish stepping up finally this season. I think this game was far more conclusive that Flaxdish can be a premier top laner here in the UK. Not only that, Diabolus actually played around the fact he was so far ahead by constantly having him as that split push threat, which wasn't really the case in game 1.
But yeah, I mean, that was well played, and you have to credit them there. They actually split push for a little bit longer. I mean, they still should have kept doing that, but that's fine.
Utilize it well enough,
yes, they still should have kept doing it. They still, they got the bottom inner. They could have gone for inhibs.
Yeah.
Like, that you can maintain that split, but regardless, they at least played around that quite well. I would want to call out Wind and Rain as not having played around it well at all, though, considering everyone... Like, it actually comes back to your original point before this series. They haven't played since Forge Champions 1. You're talking about ever since then, people have adapted to Diabolus. They've been knocked out by the likes of Enclave and Excel and Misfits. Quite.
Wind and Rain hasn't.
Yeah, Wind and Rain clearly in the meantime didn't learn the same lesson, and they lose to the same thing. Yes, better drafts, but effectively the same map play.
Yeah, it is the same thing. And Wind and Rain, even though they have made it to the later stages of the tournament far more times than Diabolus have, it's always been those hurdles of Enclave, Excel, even Diabolus in that first qualifying tournament.
Hey, they're even 2-0 in the matchup now, so...
2-0, yeah.
Yep, 2 series.
Oh, no, 5-0.
So, yeah, 5-0 in matches.
That is impressive stuff from Diabolus to come on through. They have had a rough season since that first qualifying tournament, but they have come into this knockout stage looking strong. Huge stuff from Bloomingen to really turn that team around and put them back on the right track. Now they get 2 weeks to really go over everything and start strengthening, because they look forward. I'm sure we can bring up the bracket in just a second.
Yeah, going up
to that Enclave matchup in the semi-finals.
But you got to think, like, they've been relying on Flaxdish getting big advantages. It's likely that he's going to be going up against Rift in that top lane. So, much less likely to be garnering those huge advantages there. But however, it's I got to say, even when we were watching the game, when Flaxdish got those huge advantages in the side lane, sometimes off of solo play, sometimes off of nice play from NG, he wasn't willing to split push, like we were saying, and it seems like almost a very selfish call to go, I'm gonna not split push because I'm that far ahead. I can just go into the team fights and stomp them all. I can just dominate the rest of the map, and you can't really have that mentality when you are you've been given that many resources to be a split pusher, and you've got this 4-man unit that's so safe. You need to be allowing the 4-man unit to be safe, and then dragging members away, dragging 2-3 members to the side lane. Then the rest of your team can capitalize and make these picks that they've got the composition to do with.
Yeah, and you had the Galio as well, which is really good at, forcing people around. And okay, if they've sent multiple members, I can save you and then run.
Exactly, but that was never even utilized once, because the Camille never drew multiple people to the side lane, even with a massive advantage.
The fact is, both those TPs were up at the end because they were not using their TPs effectively in most cases. There were some. There were some, especially towards the early mid-game, but later on it was just
So what I'm learning here is inefficient usage of teleports wins games.
You could learn that. That is unfortunate. I think the big thing for Diabolus looking forward is they got away with this against Wind and Rain. Enclave are a team that will punish this style of play. Learn something new, adapt.
Like you can dive towers level 1 versus bots and then win the game, but you can't do that in an actual.
I feel it's unfair to call Wind and Rain bots, but like...
Yeah,
I mean, with some of the mispositioning from Fax in the late game, it was a bit rough. But how often he got caught out was just really indicative of how Wind and Rain ended up playing the series, where they weren't willing to play around a hyper carry when they picked a hyper carry.
I think that also kind of showcases Anthrax's picking ability, which is something he's always been strong around. That Rakan again, like I don't know what he considers his best champion, but every time I see him on Rakan, it's flashy plays.
We were saying it right at the start. It's a good pick for him. He was able to really effectively, and this is what I'm talking about here, disengage for his AD carry, keep his AD carry safe. They have the Galio on top of that to keep his AD carry safe. And there was none of that from Wind and Rain. Vax was entirely on his own the entire game, and even though he did miss position, he had nobody there to back him up when he did.
Yeah, no, very true. Wind and Rain, unfortunately, that is where we say goodbye to them here in the first Forge of Champions, going out in that 5th to 8th position. Unfortunately, not able to secure an interview with the winners. I'm sure they're just going to look ahead towards the semi-finals, get ready to face up against Enclave. Kind of looking forward to that, because last time Diabolus did place against Enclave, it was a 2-1 victory to them. One of the very few losses that Enclave have had throughout the season. So they've got that winning matchup potential. Right, guys?
It proved to work for them here.
It did. It did. Absolutely. We're going to head over towards a short break, but when we do return, it is going to be our second and final quarterfinal of the knockout stages. Of course, Misfits Academy will be taking on M&M Gaming, so stick around for that.